Hello, welcome to this Monday's Moyo Movement. My name is Annette. Each Monday I show you an exercise that's either designed to release, activate, or some combination of both using the very powerful tool of somatic awareness so that we're in our body in the felt sense in the present, so we can really create change by knowing where we are and experiencing through our feeling. So today I'm going to show you an exercise for the outer hip that's going to dovetail on the release and reset that we did last week in that traditional figure 4 stretch. And we're going to come onto our side and we're going to activate the lateral hip in a small range of motion. And then again, also experience what it's like to actually let go and release the tension of this muscle. And really that's extremely important because we move around either using muscles that we don't need by compensating, or we use muscles excessively and we don't need the level of activation, or in some cases we don't need any activation. And so it's really important to understand how to actually hold tension as we need it and let it go when we don't. So we're going to activate the glute med and the minimus muscles on the outside of the hip, which are important stabilizers. And so we're going to feel what it's like to turn them on and take them through a small range of motion, then feel what it's like to actually just shut them down. And through that felt sense awareness, we become really tuned in to how we engage our body and how we engage this part of our body in any given moment, so we know how to turn it on when we need to and let it go when we don't. So we're going to do just the one side for now, and we're going to start on the right side. And your knees are going to be a little bit bent with the legs stacked on top of one another. You can either recline all the way down and rest your head on your upper arm, or if it's comfortable for your neck, you can rest your head in your hand. But in either case, we want to make sure that the body stays very squared to the ground. So we don't want to roll back, we don't want to roll forward. We're going to keep the body very much on the side. So if I place my hand on my outer hip, I've got my outer hip bone at the top here. I'm going to follow it down on the very side and then just move slightly behind that. So it's just slightly behind that very lateral midline. Okay. And then I'm going to lift that top leg up. Okay. I'm going to hold it for a moment until I start to feel some sensation in this outer hip just behind the lateral midline. And then I'm going to move the leg forward just a little bit. And I can feel the leg on the outside holding a bit of tension there. And then I'm going to come back, release the leg, and totally relax. So feeling the muscle that was just activated soften and totally let go. And then again, lifting the leg. And I'm using that hand just to get a sense of where I'm looking for that activation. Again, just behind the midline of the very lateral or outside aspect of the hip. And holding up, I can really feel that tension starting to develop to hold my leg there. And then I'm going to come forward just a little bit to take it through a small range of motion and also be able to access more feeling that way. And then coming back to stack, and then totally relax the hips and feel what it's like to let go of that tension. One more time. Lifting the leg, bringing it forward, okay? Feeling that outer hip activate to hold the leg. And this actual engagement is called an isometric exercise, when we're just holding in position. And so it helps us to really kind of feel and tune into sensation without too much movement, that allows us to pause in a moment and really experience what's happening. So coming back and stacking and then totally releasing. So again, this exercise allows us to start to tune in to the lateral hip stabilizers. And that's really helpful because as you learn key exercises to strengthen the hips, knowing how to fire those lateral stabilizers is protective of your knee, it can be protective of your back, and protective of foot and ankle problems as well. So having a sense of that, and yet also understanding what it's like to actually release that. And as you become really acquainted with the appropriate activation and just the feeling of this area, you start to get a sense of how you hold tension in your body. So we are in this juxtaposition of having experienced the tension, and now we're in the position of just feeling what it's like to let go. And by tuning in through that feeling sense, you start to become familiar with when maybe you're engaging these muscles, even in a position, a reclined seated position, something very relaxed where you don't need them. And then you can start to become, again, more familiar with how you hold excess tension when you don't need it. And that's really, really relevant for our nervous system to understand how to use things appropriately, and for our system as a whole to just become more relaxed and release tension that's not needed. So I invite you to try that on the other side. And again, all these exercises that I teach you are great for releasing excess tension, activating as we need to, but also having that profound understanding of how we engage in our body and the feeling within our body. And very often our body has a very strong sense of an emotional experience related to this physical tension or poor tension. So I invite you to try it on the other side, and I will see you this Thursday. I will see you at 11:30 Mountain Time on Instagram Live or Facebook Live, so we can go over this in a little bit more detail, and I can answer any questions, or you can share with me any insights you have. So thank you so much for being here this Monday. Namaste. If you liked my video, please hit the subscribe button below. It helps me to continue to serve you and others.